I also think for you, it demonstrates that you have not just been doing what you've told, you've been trying to understand what you're doing and understand how the boat works. And I think like that's something that would for me stand out. And as a coach, I try not to just tell the athletes what to do. I try and let them understand why we're doing it that way, so that they have an understanding, so that ultimately, eventually, they'll be able to coach themselves or make changes in the boat. I think you can have more short-term gains by just do exactly what I say. Like, I know what I'm doing, and you can do it sometimes. I've seen it where like you can force an athlete into doing something perfect by sitting next to them in the launch with a megaphone and being like, sit up, bit forward, no, don't lean it. You can make them row perfectly, and they'll row perfectly for the next 20 strokes. Yeah. But you've not actually like explained.
Yeah, there's a difference between coaching and development for sure. Because if you want to develop your athletes into people who can, like you said, go and coach themselves and make changes inside of the race or have that different innate sort of understanding, well, if they understand the rowing movement also from the biomechanical sort of standpoint and the technique and everything that they're going to be doing in the boat has like a completely different meaning to it. You know, every single action counts and every single stroke counts. Every single last stroke counts too. And, you know, you can just really sort of put so much more value on what you're doing and in the now and on actually trying to make the right choices. If you understand how that affects the boat, then you're going to be moving differently.
And I think like Head of the Trials is a prime example, and the boat race feeds into this too, of like how if you understand what you're doing in the present, that sets you up for the future. And I think, you know, Head of the Trials is like your entry to the turns will affect your exit. So you're always thinking ahead, and you think about, okay, my exit angle, like where do I put my boat now before I've even gone through the bridge so that I exit right? And that's the same in the boat race. You know, you're coming through Barnes Bridge and you're thinking, okay, where do I want my boat to be when I am a length through the bridge? Okay, well, how do I get my boat there? And that's all part of it. And you have to think about, where are you on the water? What's on the water in front of you? Where's the other crew? How do I put myself in the best position? You know, I think Head of the Trials is one of the best races that any cox can go and do, because it's not the traditional line of smooth turns. It's like F1, and you might be in a situation where you have to add a pause and one side holds it up, so you change the angle of your hull so that your exit angle is bang on and what you want, and as a result you go faster and you overtake someone, than jockeying yourself and being like, yeah, I think I've got my entry right, or like, no, if I add a pause I'm going to lose time, I've just got to keep going. Like, don't blindly keep going, like think strategy. If you change the angle of your hull, you're going to cut a corner here. How do I do that? Who holds it up? Who does what? Like, there's so many ways that you can create a turn of speed, and it's not being worried to try them out, and you're going to get it wrong. Like, I have driven that the turn on Barnes Bridge both directions so many times in training for the boat race. I think I probably did it like 20 times in a row. Just shoot that turn, go back, shoot the turn, go back, shoot the turn, go back, shoot the turn. Wrong, 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 right. Only joking. Wrong, 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 right. Got it right once. Okay, that's enough for today. You know? You can't be worried about getting it wrong, and just expose yourself to everything and anything that you can get your hands on. Like, it might be someone explaining how the pumps work. It might be helping someone put the pumps in. You don't even know when you're learning.
Was that Austin?
No, that was... Andy Groves. He now works for Hudson.
Okay.
But he was really impressive.
Yeah. Tom and I talk about this a lot. We want to practice things not to the point where we get it right once. We want to practice things to the point where it's literally impossible for you to get it wrong. You want to do it so many times, it would be going out of your way to make a mistake. But going about Head of the Trials, I've personally never done this race. Would you say it's the race that separates the novices from the pros when it comes to coxing?
No, not at all. It depends what your definition of a novice and a pro is, because...
You said it's like F1.
You could have an Olympic cox turn up and cox traditionally, in a British sense, in a way that they continue to just drive smooth turns or they just keep going. But what might win the race in that situation is being confident enough and understanding that it is a race of, there's no perfect line. The perfect line is specific to the race in that moment in time. You might have to put a pause in, you might have to stop. You have to be incredibly creative. If they do the research, there's no reason why they're not going to stand out. But some of the coxing that happens in the novice cruise is significantly better than what's going on in championship mates. Like, you will see coxers come around the turn, they've got to lean out, they've got to stick their arm in, not going to make the turn. That's because their entry doesn't help their exit. That's top end. But then you watch the Masters racing and you will see some of the best coxing you've ever seen. Like, those Masters are insane.
Experience.
They're unreal.
There's no substitute for experience, for sure.